Shalom Aleichem, this is Rabbi Kovacs. Mishnah Yomi is in chapter 5 of Nedarim, Mishnah Dalet. Hareini, behold, I am, alecha, upon you, Herem, banned. Now we said Herem in the very first Mishnah in this Masechta. We say Herem is one of the words used to make a neder. Herem basically means banned in the sense that it's given over to the temple, given over to Hekdesh, so it can't be used by a private individual. Private individual cannot have hana, cannot have any benefit or gain from this item. So what Reuven is the speaker here, is telling Shimon, is Reuven says, I am considered to you like myself and my possessions are Herem. You can have no benefit and no use of them. Hamudar, Shimon, the one who's being spoken to, Asr, cannot have any benefit from Reuven. What if he says, Hare at, behold you, alai Herem. You are Herem to me. Hanoder, Asr. The one who's speaking, Reuven, is Asr to have any sort of benefit from Shimon and his belongings. And the Mishnah brings a case of one man said to the other, Hareini, behold I, alecha, am to you, ve'at, and you, alai, are to me, and uses the word Herem, or a similar word connoting a ban or a neder. Then shnehem, both of them, asurim, cannot have benefit from each other or each other's property. So the rule we see here is you can make your own property forbidden to someone else, you can make someone else's property forbidden to you, or you can make both things true. As we say in English, you can pick your friends or you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose. So in this case, you can't make your friend's property forbidden to your friend. You can only affect your own belongings or your ability to benefit from someone else's belongings. Now the Mishnah goes on, ushnehem, and both men, in this case of a vow that prohibits benefit in both directions, mutarim, they are allowed to use b'devar shel ole bavel, something that was built or set up by those who came home from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael. We're going to define that in the next Mishnah. The surin, but they cannot use b'devar shel ota ir, things that are belonging to that city, the public works of that local city, and really that's because every resident of the city pays some form of, financial donation to what we're going to see in the next Mishnah, the publicly used items of the city, so they all have a share in it. So let's go into Mishnah Hey. Ve'ezehu devar she'olei Bavel, which are the items that were created by those Jews returning from Golus to rebuild Yerushalayim, Kagon Harabayit, like the Temple Mount, the Azarot, and the courtyards there, so the whole temple complex. The Habor Sheba'emsa Haderach, and the hole in the middle of the road. That refers to the wells that were dug for Jews who were coming up to Yerushalayim to be Ole Regel, to come for the festival, for the holidays, and they needed water on the way. We actually mentioned those wells about a year and a month ago. It was the beginning of 2023 in Eruvin, where we talked about how they used to make posts around these wells to sort of make an enclosure so that even on Shabbos, people could draw water from these wells, these public wells of Ole Bavel, that basically belong to the entire Jewish people, not just one community or one city. Be'ezehu davar shel ota ir, and which are the things that belong to that city, like the public works of the town, Kagon Harhava, like the town square, Merchatz, the bathhouse, Beit, as we saw earlier, though, a bathhouse could be privately owned, or it could be that they got donations from the entire community to build a bathhouse or a mikveh or the like. Beit Knesset, the shul, the teva, the ark of the shul, which is sometimes quite ornate, and sometimes there's a plaque saying who donated to it. The svarim, and the books, the prayer books and the books that people learn from. So it turns out, if they make a neder that bans, if one man even makes a neder that bans benefit in both directions, a lot of the things that people use every day in that city become forbidden. But the Mishnah gives a workaround. Vakotev chelko lenosi, meaning the man who made this neder, who made this herem, this vow that's causing this problem where now two men can't use the city public works and even the Sfarim and even the Torah scrolls, he writes his share in the city public works over to the city council or the ruler of the town. Rabbi Yehuda says, Echad kotev lenasi, he could write his share over to the leadership. Echad kotev lehedyot, or could write it to any resident of the town. Ma bein kotiv lenasi the kotiv lahediot. So what difference does it make if he writes over his share in the public works to the city council, the rulers, or anyone? Shekotiv lenasi ein tzarich lezakot. If you write your share to the nasi, you don't have to make a kinyan. He doesn't have to make some sort of an action that shows that he has officially acquired, in halachic terms, a kinyan, acquired that property right of the other man. The idea being that the prince or the ruler or the king or the city council already has some sort of proprietary right over the public works. They wouldn't have to make an official kinyan, an official act of transfer of ownership. The other sages say, whether he's writing to a nasi, the leadership, or a hediot, a regular person, tzrichim lezakot. They would have to make a kinyan, a transference of his ownership rights in the public works. So now it belongs to a third party, and both men can benefit from it. They add lo dibru b'nasi ele bahove. We only really mentioned a nasi in this context because that was sort of the normal practice to do, was to write over and transfer over their rights to the city council or the city elders, or you sort of an objective, neutral third party, so then everyone can have enjoyment again. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, ein anshe golil tzrichim nechtav. Rabbi Yehuda adds that up in Golil, even if they made a neder or a herem, a ban that affected two people and now affected them from using the city works, they wouldn't actually have to waive their rights. Shekvar katvu, that they already wrote over their rights, avotehem, their ancestors many years ago, al yedehem, not only for themselves but for their children. So the Mefarshim say, up in Golil, they used to have squabbles and arguments and make Nedarim and come into these problems. They realized there might be a problem if people made Nedarim and then were not really aware that everyone had a share in these city works. So they went ahead and proactively gave over their rights to the city council in all of the cities of Golil in the north of Israel to avoid these problems. Yashar Koach, be well.